He was dying. Despite everything Gregory Gold had done to put it off, to look younger and feel younger, to try to defy death, it was coming for him, and he was powerless to stop it. He couldn't move. He was literally frozen, like one of the memorial statues in the cemetery outside his bedroom window. He would have suspected he was having a stroke, but there had been no warning, no headache, no blurred vision. He could clearly see his own image reflecting back at him from the mirror above his vanity. He sat stiffly in front of it, next to the open window where the evening breeze teased the curtains. His face was pale, but nearly unlined, despite his age, and his hair was thick and dark. But he was drooling now, like the old man he'd fought so hard to never become. He tried to close his eyes, to shut out that image, but he couldn't even blink. He'd been sitting in his private dressing room, studying his reflection for any sign of his age, when the paralysis had hit. His arms locked, and he was unable to lift his hands. His feet were stuck to the ground, too heavy for his legs to pry from the carpet. And while his mouth had dropped open slightly, it wasn't lower on one side or the other. He hadn't had a stroke. He just couldn't move. He could barely even draw a breath anymore, his lungs as numb as his body. But his mind continued to move as nimbly as it always had, and he quickly drew the only possible conclusion. He'd been poisoned. He knew it. And he knew that it had to be one of them. One of the people who were supposed to love him, or at least respect, and maybe even fear him. His family. Or employees. But so many of them were one and the same and had complete access to him. One of them had to have slipped the poison into something he ate or drank, but he was always so careful, avoiding alcohol, eating only organic foods, doing everything he could to stay healthy, to stay vital, to stay relevant. The irony wasn't lost on him that the man who'd made his fortune off death was afraid of dying. He worked out, ate well, took vitamins, and as he'd aged, despite his efforts, he'd even sought medical intervention. Surgery, Botox, hair plugs. He'd also removed the people from his life who aged him, like his first wife and his second, and now